To understand the mystery of Blackwood Bay, you have to understand the geography of guilt. Nestled on a jagged, salt-eroded stretch of the North Atlantic coast, Blackwood was once a town of booming iron and salt. It was a place of hard labor and harder hearts. But beneath the industrial success, it was a town of shadows. For over 100 years, the residents lived by a chilling unspoken rule: the bay was a bin for the soul. The local fog, thick and heavy with the scent of ozone and brine, was believed to be a confessor. The geological makeup of the region, massive cliffs of iron-rich basalt and quartz, created a strange acoustic phenomenon. If you had a secret, a stolen inheritance, a hidden affair, a murder that would put you in a cage, you didn't go to a priest. You went to the edge of the water at midnight and you whispered it into the mist. The townspeople thought the words just drifted away, dissolved by the salt and carried out to sea. They were wrong. Sound is a vibration, and vibrations are energy. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred. In Blackwood Bay, the unique mineral composition of the surrounding cliffs acted like a natural, planetary-scale recording device. The quartz crystals held the charge, the iron basalt provided the magnetic medium. For a century, the cliffs memorized every lie, every sob, and every scream. By the summer of 1965, the air over the water had become physically heavy. The acoustic load of the bay had reached a critical mass. The town was a powder keg of trapped frequencies, a century of human darkness compressed into a low-frequency thrum that made the dogs howl and the children cry in their sleep. It was waiting for a spark. On August 14, 1965, that spark arrived in the form of a small wooden ferry called the Orpheus. At 12 a.m., the boat departed from the South Pier for the North Pier, a routine 20-minute crossing. On board were 6 souls, each representing a cross-section of the town's hidden life, and each carrying a vibration that would tip the scales of the bay. Elias and Martha, a young couple, barely 20, clutching suitcases. Inside wasn't clothing, but $250,000 in cash stolen from the Blackwood Savings and Loan, a bank owned by the mayor. Sterling, a middle-aged businessman with a cold stare. His briefcase contained carbon copies of ledgers and soil samples proving that the town's elite had been dumping toxic iron processing byproducts into the local water table for decades. Mrs. Gable. A widow who had spent 40 years pretending her husband died at sea, when in reality, she had buried him under the floorboards of her cellar. Captain Miller and his deckhand, men who had looked the other way for a price for 20 years. Julian Vane, the pure passenger. Julian Vane was a blind cellist of international stature, returning to his ancestral home for a sabbatical. He lived in a world of textures and tones. To Julian, the bay didn't look like water. It sounded like a chaotic, discordant choir. He could feel the weight of the air the moment he stepped onto the deck. The true crime at the heart of this was no accident of nature. The town's mayor, Silas Hawthorne, was a man of cold, calculated brilliance. He knew the bay was at its acoustic breaking point. He had consulted with occultists and disgraced physicists alike. He intentionally delayed the Orpheus's departure by exactly 12 minutes to align with a specific atmospheric pressure drop and a lunar tide. He wanted the bay to swallow the evidence Sterling carried and the thieves who had robbed his bank. He didn't just want them dead, he wanted them erased from time. As the ferry reached the dead center, the point where the cliff echoes converge, the confession eater triggered. The air over the bay reached a density that defied the laws of physics. Sound died. A bird flying overhead hit the air and shattered as if it had flown into a marble wall. Julian Vane, sensing the collapse of the world, felt the great silence coming. He knew that if the silence took hold, the vacuum would crush the boat. He opened his weathered case and pulled out his 300-year-old Montagnana cello. As the rift in the air tried to pull the boat into a void of absolute darkness, Julian began to play. He wasn't playing music, he was playing physics. He played the exact inverse frequency of the town's collective guilt. A pure, resonant tone of atonement. He created a standing wave, a physical shield of sound that encased the boat in a bubble of air, freezing time and space. To the people on the shore, the boat simply vanished into a flash of blue light. The only thing left on the dock was Julian's spare cello, a ghost cello, vibrating with a note that no one could hear, but everyone could feel in their teeth. 60 years later, the world has relegated the Orpheus to the realm of campfire stories and unsolved YouTube documentaries. But Blackwood has not recovered. The town is a shell. The iron mines are closed, the salt is bitter, and the residents suffer from a localized phenomenon known as the Blackwood hum. Chronic migraines, insomnia, and a low-level, vibrating anxiety have turned the population into ghosts of their former selves. Enter Clara. A renowned acoustic archaeologist, Clara doesn't look for fingerprints or shell casings. She looks for residual resonance. She believes that every major event leaves a sonic bruise on the environment. She arrives in Blackwood with a trailer full of specialized sensors, laser vibrometers, hydrophones capable of picking up a whale's heartbeat from 1,000 miles away, and a custom-built AI she calls the Ear. Clara's investigation is the core of the addictive mystery. She begins by setting up listening posts along the basalt cliffs. In the first major musical sequence of her investigation, titled The Song of the Cliffs, Clara plays back a cleaned-up recording of the ambient noise from the bay through her studio monitors. As she shifts the frequency, the white noise of the wind transforms. It's a terrifying, multi-layered choir. She hears the voices of 1965. Through the static of time, she hears Sterling the businessman arguing with the captain about the delay. She hears Martha whispering to Elias, "We're going to be rich, aren't we?" But beneath it all, she hears the foundation. It is a constant, unwavering high C, a note that has been ringing for 60 years, just below the threshold of human hearing. It is Julian Vane's shield, still holding. Clara realizes the true crime isn't a cold case, it's an ongoing atrocity. The current mayor, Julian Hawthorne, grandson of the murderous Silas, is planning a revitalization project. He's going to blow up the South Pier with 5 tons of industrial explosives to make way for a luxury resort. Clara's data shows that the South Pier isn't just wood and stone, it's the acoustic anchor for Julian's standing wave. If that pier is destroyed, the frequency will break, the bubble will collapse, and the 6 people trapped in the in-between will be instantly crushed by 60 years of accumulated water pressure and guilt. The mystery deepens when Clara realizes she needs more than just ambient recordings to stop the demolition. She needs proof of intent. She breaks into the boarded-up Hawthorne estate, a decaying mansion overlooking the bay. In the basement, she finds a hidden vault containing what she calls the silent records. These are wax cylinders and early magnetic tapes that appear to be blank. But Clara knows better. She uses a modern reconstruction tool. A laser that reads the microscopic indentations made in the wax by the sound of the room at the time they were recorded, even if no needle was ever used. This is the smoking gun sequence. Through her headphones, Clara, and the audience, hears the past as clearly as if it were happening next door. She hears Silas Hawthorne in 1965, his voice cold and aristocratic. She hears him speaking to the Port Authority, ordering the delay of the ferry. She hears him laughing with the town elders about the cleansing of the bay. The bay wants them, Silas says on the recording. It's been screaming for 100 years. If we give it the Orpheus, it will be quiet for another 100. We aren't killers, we're janitors. This wasn't a supernatural accident. It was a premeditated mass murder that used the bay's unique physics as the executioner's axe. The tension builds as the 24-hour countdown begins. The demolition crew is already wiring the South Pier. The mayor has secured a court order for Clara's removal. She is alone, viewed as a crackpot scientist trying to save a ghost story. She realizes she needs to talk to Julian Vane. In a sequence titled The Bridge of Strings, Clara takes a high-powered underwater speaker out to the dead center of the bay at midnight. She begins a call and response. She plays a single note from her laptop, and the bay vibrates back in a different key. She realizes Julian is still there. He is the operator of the machine. He has been holding that high C for 60 years. In the timeslip of the bubble, perhaps only 6 minutes have passed for him, but the physical toll of holding that frequency, of being the human bridge between life and the void, is killing him. Clara discovers the final secret. The ghost cello left on the dock in 1965 wasn't a memento. It was a tuning fork. Julian left it there so that one day an acoustic archaeologist would find it. He knew he couldn't hold the note forever. He needed someone on the outside to provide the golden note the frequency of absolute resolution, a perfect fifth, that would safely collapse the bubble and bridge the gap between 1965 and the present. The finale is a 20-minute masterclass in tension, sound design, and sweet redemption. It is 5:30 a.m. The fog is a thick, unnatural bruise of purple and orange as the sun begins to bleed over the horizon. The demolition foreman has his hand on the detonator. Mayor Hawthorne stands nearby, wearing a hard hat, a cold smile on his face. He believes he is minutes away from burying his grandfather's sins forever. Clara has been banned from the pier, but she has occupied the Blackwood Lighthouse. She has spent the night rigging the lighthouse's massive, vintage foghorn to her laptop and a series of amplifiers. She has the golden note ready, a frequency she derived from the microscopic analysis of the wood grain on the ghost cello. It is a sound that represents the total absence of secrets. As the foreman counts down, 3, 2, 1, he pushes the button. At that exact microsecond, Clara hits broadcast on her laptop. The lighthouse foghorn lets out a blast so powerful it shatters every window in the lighthouse. The sound wave is a physical force, a visible ripple in the air that hits the water at the exact moment the dynamite goes off. The two forces collide. But instead of a catastrophic explosion of rock and sea, there is a harmonic nullification. The sound of the 5 tons of dynamite is simply erased. It is sucked into the frequency Clara created. For a heartbeat, the entire world goes silent. Then, the bay begins to glow. A massive, bioluminescent sphere, the standing wave bubble rises from the depths. The ocean parts, not with the roar of a storm, but with a celestial, musical hum. The walls of water stand 30 feet high, held back by the sheer power of the golden note. In the center of the parted sea sits the Orpheus. The boat is rusted, covered in 60 years of barnacles and deep-sea silt, but its wooden hull is intact. A river of sound carries the ferry toward the South Pier. The townspeople, who have rushed to the shore, watch in a paralyzed state of awe and terror. The doors of the ferry creak open. The passengers walk out. They look exactly as they did in 1965. Their clothes are sharp, their faces unlined by the 60 years that have passed for the world. Sterling walks off first, his knuckles white as he clutches his briefcase. He looks at the modern cars on the shore, at the smartphones in the hands of the crowd, and his eyes widen, but he doesn't stop. He walks straight to the nearest police officer and hands over the documents of the Hawthorne dumping scandal. Elias and Martha walk off next, holding hands. They look at the worthless paper money in their bags, then at each other, realizing they have been given a second chance in a world where their crimes are forgotten by everyone but the history books. Julian Vane is the last to step off. He is still blind, his eyes clouded and milky, but he turns his head toward the lighthouse. He lets out a long, ragged breath, the breath he has been holding for 6 decades. He lowers his cello, and as the end of his bow leaves the string, the walls of water collapse back into the bay with a gentle splash. The Blackwood hum vanishes instantly. For the first time in a century, the air in Blackwood is light. The resolution is deeply satisfying, hitting every beat of a true crime finale. The mayor is arrested on the spot. With Sterling's evidence and the silent records Clara recovered, the Hawthorne dynasty is dismantled within weeks. The confession eater has nothing left to feed on. The secrets are out, the air is clear, and the town's chronic illnesses begin to fade overnight. The most beautiful scene comes at the very end. A month later, the South Pier has been rebuilt, not as a resort, but as a memorial. Julian Vane is given a new cello, a gift from the international music community that was stunned by his return. He sits on the edge of the pier at sunset. For the first time in his life, he plays a song that isn't a shield. He isn't fighting the physics of the bay anymore. He plays a song of welcome. As the notes drift over the water, the ghost heartbeats that Clara used to hear in her sensors fade away. The bay is finally just a bay. The movie ends with Clara sitting on the beach. Her high-tech sensors are packed away. She has her headphones around her neck, But she isn't listening to a recording. She is listening to the actual sound of the waves. The truth isn't a destination, she narrates as the camera pulls back, showing the town of Blackwood finally at peace. It's a frequency. And once you find it, you never have to be quiet again. Julian's final note lingers, blending perfectly with the sound of the wind.